Large molecules absorbed by my body are used to reduce energy by using biochemical oxidation, which, like chemical oxidation, also needs oxygen. This comes from the air I breathe. The result is also carbon dioxide and water. The large organic molecules my body absorbs also have nitrogen atoms, and part of this nitrogen is used to make new cells. The nitrogen my body does not need is filtered out by my kidneys and leaves my body when I pee. Poop and urine are my body's waste products, but they still have a food value for bacteria. One kind uses poop as food, while a complete different kind uses the urine. They both use biochemical oxidation to release energy, which again does require oxygen. So when you flush your toilet, waste products become sewage, and when it's dumped into the river, bacteria will have a feast, and that causes the oxygen level in the river to go down, which can cause fish to die. The bacteria feeding on the urine also requires oxygen and contribute to this depletion of oxygen. But the urine itself and the waste products of these bacteria are fertilizers for new plant growth and water, mostly algae. The algae growth does not happen at the location where the sewage is dumped into the river, but it can happen much further downstream, as is the case in the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. When EPA sets sewage treatment standards to implement the Clean Water Act, it used a test that measures biochemical oxygen incorrect, and as a consequence, EPA only addressed most of the pollution caused by poop, while it ignored all the pollution caused by urine. My grandpa tells me that the incorrect use of this essential pollution test also has caused all types of other engineering problems, but there are too many to even mention in this video. People do not like to talk about the nitrogen cycle in our biosphere because it is complicated and not as easy to understand as the carbon cycle. It, however, is equal or even more important than the carbon cycle. We have all heard about global warming, which is caused by an increase of carbon dioxide in the air as a result of burning of fossil fuels, which before they were taken out of the earth were not part of the carbon cycle. But we have similar increases of nitrogen in the biosphere as a result of man-made fertilizer. It is estimated that 30% of the nitrogen in the cells of our bodies now come from the fertilizer industries. The increase of nitrogen in the biosphere not only causes global warming, as carbon dioxide does, it also creates green rain, which is rainwater that has fertilizer in it. During the raining season, this causes grasses and brush to grow fast, but during a drought, they become fuel for wildfires. Fires used to be good for the forest, but now with the additional fuel, the big trees also catch on fire, and when the trees lose their roots, it causes land erosion and mudslides. The smartasses among you probably will say that 80% of the air is already nitrogen, and that is true, but there are nitrogen gas molecules whereby two nitrogen atoms are bonded together. A nitrogen gas molecule is very hard to break apart, and thus not available to build organic molecules. Breaking these molecules apart is what fertilizers industries are doing to make man-made fertilizer. Of course, we cannot stop using man-made fertilizer, as there is not enough natural fertilizer to feed all the people now living on Earth, but we have to become much more careful on how this fertilizer, as it will all end up in our biosphere, where it will stimulate all types of... Treating urine in our sewage will not solve all the problems, but it would be a good step in the right direction. My grandpa tells me that sewage treatment was developed more than a century ago, mainly to prevent odor problems. That much better treatment, including treatment of nitrogen, is not only possible, but that it actually would cost less than what we now pay for what he calls not sewage treatment plants, but odor control plants. To summarize our water pollution regulations, I hold in one hand a glass of city drinking water, and in the other hand a can of Coke. I cannot throw the drinking water into the lake because it has chlorine in it, and that is toxic to fish. I can throw about a third of my Coke into the water, but what I can do is drink both, wait, and then pee in the water. This does not make sense to me, and if you agree, show this video to your parents and ask them to contact their congressmen and senators in Washington and demand that they hold the EPA accountable for not implementing the Clean Water Act as it was promised to us. I can still fish, but when I grow up, I hope my kids and grandkids will be able to fish too. And thanks for watching.